music education supporter and supporter of the youth, all of Western Pennsylvania, and the guy that taught these kids throughout the day, Mr. Don Green.
First things first, you folks in the front row, you're going to get it, man. So unless you brought sunglasses, you're going to get it. It's shined up and it's ready to go. So this is actually the first major bit of music making that I've done since I retired. And it's not that I didn't have other opportunities, but knowing Mr. DiCarlo and knowing this area and knowing the schools that are here, I didn't know these kids when they walked in this morning. I had no clue what I was going to walk into. And I just said, you know what, I'm just going to try to be a solid music educator like I tried to do for my whole career. And I'm going to try to give these kids a real good experience. If you came for like the typical band concert tonight, you're not going to get that. This is an experience tonight. What we're doing is an experience. We try to give that to the kids because they may remember the tune, they may remember sitting next to somebody, but it's like the day and the concert and that you got to see them. And that's very important. The first thing we're going to do for you guys tonight is a warm-up. Warm-up exercise. It was written by Mr. Fred Rogers. He wrote it in 1969, and it's called Tree, Tree, Tree. It's a very, very, very simple melody. The story goes back to probably the beginning of the century. A lot of times when families would have a child, they would do things in honor of that child to go along with the child. They would plant a tree. They would plant a shrub, or they would have a garden that as that garden grows, or as the child would also grow along, we would see the growth in both of those, both that are going to be very, very productive, we hope, and give back. And the words are very simple, and I'm going to just tell them right now to you. They're very simple. Tree, 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 tree. We love you. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. We love you. And they come back again with the tree, tree, tree verse. It was very simple. And the simple tune that you're going to hear is only overpowered by the strong meaning of the words, as simple as they were. Okay? The tree's going to grow. We love you along with it. You know what I'm saying? The two go together very, very well. To the point that I would like to also suggest, if you've heard of the famous, world-famous cellist Yo-Yo Ma, put together a collection of very simple tunes that he called Songs for Comfort. And one of the songs for comfort that he chose was Fred Rogers' Tree, Tree, Tree. Doesn't have to have, 1,000 people in an orchestra. It could be something as simple as a tune and the words that accompany it, and bring out the meaning of both. So we'd like to play for you first Fred Rogers' Tree, Tree, Tree. That's the first tune. one of the things I wanted to do with the students was to expose them to some well-known composers, mostly of band literature. A lot of the composers you're going to hear tonight, Swearingen, Saucedo, Erickson. These are all famous names that have written band music, specific for high school bands, mostly in the United States here. Our first piece is a major work for orchestra. It was written by a gentleman, name is pronounced Rafe Vaughan Williams. He was an English composer, mostly wrote operas, ballets, wrote 9 symphonies. This piece was part of an operetta that he wrote, and it was basically a fanfare. And actually it's one of those pieces that the piece itself, Flourish for Wind Band, was actually more popular than the operetta that it was written for. So we'd like to perform for you right now for our first piece on the concert, basically a major staple of band literature and orchestral literature. This is Flourish for Wind Band. The next piece was written by former band director at Carmel, Indiana. His name is Richard Saucedo. Bands were very successful, multiple-time Bands of America champions. Mr. Saucedo is also, or was also, the staff arranger for the Cavaliers Drum and Bugle Corps. And he's been writing a lot of tunes for bands over the years. And this is one that he wrote while he was learning to get his pilot's license. The tune is called Into the Clouds. And as I explained to the students, this is basically, it's a plane trip, it's a plane ride. You're gonna hear at the very beginning, you're gonna hear flutes and clarinets. They're gonna be the propellers, so listen for it, okay? Later on in the tune, you're gonna hear some very locked in pieces that sound like bricks being smashed together. That's turbulence. You'll be able to understand that and see that. And then later on in the middle of the piece, big, majestic corral, open double forte corral. That is basically, this is where we bust through the turbulence and we're just into the open sky. And at the very end, you'll hear some nice rhythmic accents coming from the low brass. Those are the flaps up on the plane to slow the plane down before it goes into its final descent and landing. So he does a wonderful job of portraying this through music, what a plane ride would be. So this is Richard Saucedo's Into the Clouds. Next piece is by one of those folks that I told you about that were well-known names for writing band literature. This gentleman's name is Frank Erickson, and this is one of his more popular pieces, as these students have found out that they got to play. A lot of them have never played it before, and they were just really, one of the things I try to do in this is to pull out things like louds and soft, dynamics. If somebody's playing an actual moving line, we all have to get out of the way to make sure that we're able to hear that line so it comes out, so the music's not one-dimensional. And they've done a wonderful job of that. They really, really have. This is called Rhythm of the Winds. You figure I've been up here waving this thing, you know, the amount of waving I do at home, ESPN, Sports Center, oh, KDK News, and that's it. Occasionally I do it with this hand, KDKA. Okay, I want to, you know, develop both sides, but it's been fun, and I've enjoyed it. So thank you. All right. With my bands at Yacht, we always try to have, I try to do at least one piece that I call the term paper piece. That anybody that's actually written an actual decent term paper, it takes a while to develop. You know, it takes a while to write until you finally get it ready. And it's got a lot of things in it. And this piece is the term paper piece. Again, written by another major band person that's still writing great music today. His name is James Swearingen. And this is one of the many tunes that he wrote. And this is one of the more aggressive ones. This is called Exaltation. All right, here we go. Hold up. One measure. Nice and big. Keep going. 1, 2, ready. That would take about 7 weeks to put together. We did it in hour and 40 minutes. All right. This next piece we're going to play for you, I arranged a number of years ago. And I might as well tell you guys the story I told these guys, because it's the truth. Years ago, I'm sitting at home, you know, little kid, maybe 7, 8, and the neighbor guy comes knocking on the door. All this pertains to this piece, you'll see in a second. And he asks for my dad. He said, "Hey, Bill, you know, could you come over and look at this piano for me?" And I'm thinking, you know, piano, you know, crescent wrench, what's the difference? You know, what's he gonna know the difference on a piano? So we go across the street to the neighbor, and I'm sitting there, a little kid, and my dad looks at it, and he lifts the lid on it, and he's looking in the back. I'm thinking he's like looking for rats or something, you know, in the back of the thing. And he lifts up the lid on the piano, and he said, "Ding, ding, 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 ding." Okay, good, plays, good. I think it's a nice piano, but what do you want my dad to do about it? My dad pulled out the bench, sat down, and played the piece that we are going to play for you right now. It was written by a gentleman named Felix Arndt back in 1915, or excuse me, yeah, 1915, and I rearranged it to play actually first with one of my younger bands. The solo part you will recognize very well. It was originally a piano piece, and Felix Arndt wrote it as a engagement present for his girlfriend that he was hoping to marry. Nola Hoke was her name. This was back toward the turn of the century. And I guess that's what you did back then. Instead of like engagement rings, you like wrote pieces of music. I wish I would have known that. You know, I could have, you know, really. But anyway, my father starts into this tune, and my eyes pop out of my head, and my jaw dislocates from the hinge, and it hits the ground. I had no clue that my father had any amount of musical ability whatsoever, none. Thankfully, there was something there that I found out that day, because I think I got a little bit of it, not nearly what my father was, but I think I've done okay. And I arranged it, and I was, you know, obviously by the time I arranged it and was going to play it, he played it at home quite a bit too, because that led us to, after seeing that piano, we drove over to his home, which was in Akron, Ohio, and we loaded up the piano that his parents scrimped and saved to buy him to learn how to play piano. We loaded it onto a U-Haul, and we drug it home. That was his spark to go back to doing this. And we got it into the living room, and just about every night we would hear Nola being played. And that was one of the wonderful memories that I have of my mom and dad, was this piece of music. And they never got to hear my bands perform it. They never did. But if you don't mind indulging me for a second, I brought my mom and dad with me today. So they are going to get to hear it. Next, I want to bring out a fabulous gentleman that is a dear friend and also one of the finest tuba players walking the earth today. He's the director of music studies, wind band studies at Duquesne University. He's also the director and the maestro of the River City Brass, my good friend and the finest Scotsman you'll ever meet. This is my friend James Gourlay. Please bring him up. I also understand from talking to Mr. DiCarlo that
Don't worry, it doesn't bite.
this is the first time that we've actually had the students, play along with the soloist. So that's why Dr. Gurley come in today. He's a very good friend. I said, would you come in and play this piece? He goes, I'd love to. One of the big things that the River City Brass does is they run a wonderful program for starting students on instruments. I mean, at very young ages. This is what, if there is a bigger advocate for music education in our area, I don't know him. It's James Gourlay. I will. I'm just wrote what Anyway. He is graciously sat in the whole night and played with the kids. How often are you going to get, I said this at my last concert. I said, this is like Babe Ruth coming to your Little League game, And it's like, okay, kids, give me enough hot dogs and I'll bat fourth and we'll win. And that's just kind of what we're going to do here. So we hope you enjoy this. Maestro Dr. James Gourlay and Felix Arntz Nola. James Gourlay, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, we need to stay here. James, we need you over here. On the front cover, you will see a nice, comical, whimsical groundhog directing each of the students, each of the schools that are represented here tonight. The gentleman that did that artwork, his name is Bob Weaver. He is a fabulous Pittsburgh artist. I taught with him at York. He is a perennial visitor to the Arts Festival down in Pittsburgh. He does a lot of work for the Steelers, Penguins, and Pirates. And I said, could you do me a favor? I said, anything you need. This man is extremely busy, as is this one here. I said, could you do me a favor? I said, I have a friend who's going to be doing a performance with our band, and I explained who he was. And Bob is very supportive. I don't know if the name Weaver rings a bell to you guys, but his grandfather was one of the early architects of the Norman Band program. And all of his brothers, and they're all extremely musical people. And as Bob is a very, very musical person himself, and you can see that in his work. So what Bob did that we would like to present to James tonight is, well, I'll just show you. I told you he's a proud Scotsman. So this is what Bob did for James. As you can see, there's James there in all his glory, and behind him is the Scottish flag. So we wanted to present this to James for just coming in and spending a day and making us better people and better musicians for having worked with him today, okay? How did this next song end up on this program? And actually, my question should be, why hasn't it been in on every program that has been here for this concert? So they asked me, Mr. Monroe and Mr. DeCarlo were sitting here, said, well, would you like to think about doing our Groundhog Day concert? I said, well, yeah. I said, well, of course you're going to play the Pennsylvania polka, right? And they're like looking at me like my hair's on fire. Okay, right? You see, so and I said, dude, did either one of you like watch the movie? I said, well, what's that have to do? I said, when everybody day after day walks up the road to Gobbler's Knob, what do you hear playing? The polka, exactly. So I'm probably not going to be doing this anytime soon again after what I put these guys through now. But I'm going to put a petition out that this tune should be played at the end of every Groundhog concert, simply because for what it represents. So we'll see what happens. We're going to have a lot of fun with this. So if we have any polka dancers, I'm being dead serious. Right here, seriously. And I defy any one of you to come up and do that. But you got to hear the tune first, okay? Oh, we're going to pull the 50-50. Here you go.
Just a reminder, this 50-50 goes right back into your children. It was helped to defray the cost of the banquet. So, I don't know, what's your name, young lady? Kaylee. Let's give Kaylee a round of applause. Where's Kaylee's folks? Give him a round of applause, too.
Okay, this is for the $100 prize. 312898. 312898.
All right, it's polka time. It's gonna upset this auditorium. Here we go. Wait, it's gonna be tons of fun. I had tons of fun listening to it today too. So here we go.
All right, here we go. All right, ready? 1, 2, it's been an absolute joy for me to come in here to do this. You've got great kids, you know, and they're supported by great people like you and their teachers.